Among all the princesses, Lu Qiang stood out as the most stunning and favored. The moment she entered the hall, a group of noble young men and women flocked to greet her. Dressed in a pale yellow jacket paired with a patterned skirt of red and apricot diamonds and draped in a sheer shawl, she looked every bit the epitome of elegance. Her hair, adorned with golden hairpins and red blossoms, only enhanced her dignified, refined aura. Seated off to the side, Lu Ping observed the scene in silence as the crowd gathered around her. Lu Jing, with a resigned sigh, scolded gently, "Chang'er, you were nearly late again." Lu Ji chimed in as well, gesturing to the newcomers. "Chang'er, come greet our new guests. This is the second son of Duke Fu, and here we have young Master Yan from the Northern Marquis household." From his position, Lu Ping caught a glimpse of Lu Qiang gracefully approaching. Her movements were delicate and refined, her face tinged with gentle shyness, and her voice as soft as a spring breeze as she addressed, "Young Master." Yan Ren, in turn, bowed respectfully. "Your Highness, 8th Princess." At that moment, a chill ran down Lu Ping's spine. What on earth had happened to Lu Qiang? She seemed like a completely different person. Docile, demure, even flirtatious. The lesson was about to begin, and the chatter in the hall gradually died down as everyone returned to their seats. Lu Ping, finally finding peace, breathed a sigh of relief and focused on his book. But then, Lu Qiang's voice echoed through the room. "Wait, I want to change seats." The palace attendant froze mid-task, glancing over uncertainly. Lu Ping heard approaching footsteps. Moments later, a pair of embroidered shoes appeared at the edge of his vision. He looked up to find Lu Qiang smiling faintly down at him. "I want to sit here," she announced. Lu Ping frowned. This troublemaker was always stirring things up. He calmly reminded her, "Your seat is over there." "I want you to switch with me," she insisted. Normally, Lu Ping would have surrendered the seat just to avoid confrontation. But today's spot was perfect. Located at the back row, shaded by Haitian Bai's tall frame, and right in front of an open door that let in a gentle breeze. He had no desire to give it up. He glanced at Lu Qiang's original seat and immediately recoiled at the thought. That area was surrounded by Lu Ji, Lu Fang, and Lu Zhao. A pit of distractions and drama. Sitting there would be a nightmare, and he wouldn't be able to concentrate at all. Lu Qiang pressed again. "Ninth brother, did you not hear me?" Lu Ping raised an eyebrow. There was something different about her today. Although still assertive, her tone lacked its usual sharpness. He asked, "Why?" To his surprise, Lu Qiang's gaze wavered, and a rare hint of embarrassment flashed across her face. She glanced sideways, toward the seat beside Lu Ping. Lu Ping followed her line of sight and spotted none other than Yan Ren seated next to him. And just like that, everything made sense. So that was her game. She wanted to sit next to Yan Ren. As class began, Song Siwan's sharp voice cut through the air, commanding Lu Ping to recite Jian Shu's lament for his soldiers, a piece from the previous lesson. Lu Ping, who had been doing his best to stay hidden behind his classmates, felt his stomach drop. Despite his efforts to avoid attention, the teacher's gaze found him with unerring precision. Lu Qiang and Lu Fang exchanged looks of barely concealed amusement, clearly hoping to witness Lu Ping's embarrassment. Lu Ji scrutinized him coldly, while Lu Jing seemed the only one with any concern, his brows slightly furrowed. Resigned, Lu Ping slowly closed his book and began to recite. In the winter, Duke Wen of Jin passed away. On the day of Gengchen, he was interred at Kuo. His voice was hesitant, and he stumbled occasionally over the words. Lu Qiang snickered, but Lu Ping pressed on, determined to finish the passage. Before he could get far, however, Song Siwan raised his hand to stop him. "That's enough," the teacher said, sweeping his eyes over the class. He reminded them that lineage and noble status were meaningless here. What mattered was cultivation and integrity. He made it clear. Anyone who couldn't even recite the basics was unfit to remain in Baihu Hall. Turning back to his roster, Song Siwan slowly scanned the names, squinting with age-clouded eyes, until he selected one. Yan Ren, continue from where the 9th prince left off. A hush fell over the room. Xinbai hesitantly raised his hand, informing the teacher that the students from the Fu Family Academy hadn't studied that particular text yet. Yan Ren, too, was from that academy. Song Siyuan blinked in surprise. You haven't? Fu Yi rose and respectfully explained that their most recent lesson had only covered Jie Jitui's silent refusal of rewards, and they hadn't reached the lament yet. Lu Qiang, ever quick to exploit a situation, chimed in, suggesting that it was unreasonable to expect someone to recite a text they hadn't learned. She proposed they move on. Song Siyuan, nodding, changed his command. Very well. Yan Ren, recite silent refusal of rewards instead. Yan Ren rose gracefully. Under the attentive eyes of the room, he gave a respectful bow to the teacher. Lu Ping remained standing, watching curiously as Yan Ren turned to him, with a faintly confident smile. Then he said something unexpected. Teacher, I can recite Jianshu's lament for his soldiers. Gasps echoed from Fu Yi and He Xinbai. But we haven't studied that yet. With a raised brow, Yan Ren confirmed they hadn't, but said he had memorized it anyway. He turned to Lu Ping and asked where he had left off, admitting he hadn't paid close attention earlier. Startled, Lu Ping recalled the last line he spoke. And though they march 1,000 miles, who does not know? Before he could finish, Yan Ren picked up flawlessly. The Duke declined their counsel. He summoned Meng Ming, Shi Qi, and Bai Yi to lead the troops beyond the eastern gate. His voice was smooth and unwavering, each word articulated with ease. A quiet awe spread through the classroom. Murmurs of praise followed as the students began to realize Yan Ren had just effortlessly recited an unassigned text. Lu Qiang, beaming, seized the moment to jab at Lu Ping once more. With a sneer, she remarked that the young master of the Yan family was truly exemplary, hardworking and diligent, already mastering lessons yet to be taught. Then, she turned the spotlight back on Lu Ping, criticizing his earlier fumbling and declaring him a disgrace. The long-awaited exam results had finally arrived, with each student's scorebook being distributed as scheduled. Lu Ping, ever the picture of calm, stayed tucked away in his study, idly flipping through a book. Meanwhile, Chu Shui and Zhile were carefully rearranging and dusting the shelves of an ancient bookcase nearby. Just as the tranquil atmosphere settled in, Da Sheng's voice rang out before he even reached the courtyard. Good news! Startled, Chu Shui and Zhile nearly dropped the books they were holding. Lu Ping, without lifting his eyes from the page, calmly reminded them to be cautious. Those books needed to be returned in perfect condition. With the energy of a man delivering a royal decree, Da Sheng burst into the room, still breathless from his sprint. The rankings are out! Lu Ping already had an inkling about his result from Da Sheng's excitement. But it was Chu Shui and Zhile who pounced first, demanding the details. What rank did our prince get? What about the 8th princess? Come on, tell us! Even Madame Wang appeared in the doorway holding a spatula, eyes wide with anticipation. Well, did our highness win? With everyone's attention on him, Da Sheng dramatically pulled out the scorebook and declared, The 8th princess ranked 3rd in the C tier, and our prince ranked 3rd in the B tier. Relief washed over Lu Ping, a heavy weight lifted from his chest. Zhile, wide-eyed with excitement, asked for confirmation. And what place exactly did His Highness get? Madame Wang, ever competitive on behalf of the household, pressed further. Did he finally beat the 8th princess? Da Sheng couldn't hold back his grin. After pausing for dramatic flair, he proudly announced, 2nd, 2, last, gasps. And laughter filled the room. Wow, that's incredible. 2nd to last? That's our prince. Absolutely brilliant. Even Lu Ping winced, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of mock celebration. His temples throbbed. Then came the real twist. If His Highness is 2nd to last, then where did the 8th princess end up? Qiu Shui asked. Daisheng's eyes sparkled. The 8th princess? She's dead last, he finished with glee. That declaration sent the household into a whirlwind of celebration. Zhile twirled around the courtyard with Qiu Shui and Da Sheng singing and dancing like they'd just won a war. Madame Wang, overjoyed, declared a celebratory feast. To honor our prince's glorious second-to-last place, I'll steam some big river crabs. Is there anything else your highness desires? Lu Ping couldn't help but laugh, half from amusement, half from despair. The crabs will do. Thank you, Madam Wang. He looked up from his book, catching sight of Da Sheng and the others gathered around his exam results. None of them could actually read, but they examined the teacher's comments like they were admiring a work of art. Their pride was written all over their faces. Lu Ping's lips curved into a soft smile. For once, it felt like maybe, just maybe, he was winning at something after all. The next morning, Lu Ping headed to Baihu Hall. Ready or not, another day was beginning. When Lu Ping arrived at the martial arts training ground, he noticed that Lu Jing was still immersed in his sword lesson, despite the echo of the drum signaling the session's end long ago. Rather than interrupt, Lu Ping stayed under a nearby pavilion, quietly watching his brother. Lu Jing, guided by the grand tutor, practiced his sword forms with precision and grace. The tassel on his sword flicked through the air as his robes followed each fluid movement, painting a picture of both elegance and strength. Even from afar, Lu Ping could feel the intensity and confidence radiating from him. Eventually, a palace maid approached and offered Lu Jing a towel, which marked the conclusion of the lesson. After exchanging farewells with his tutor, Lu Jing glanced toward the pavilion and waved to Lu Ping, his expression warm, though reserved. Lu Ping, delighted, quickly ran over and greeted him with an enthusiastic, "Brother!" Lu Jing, in turn, invited him to dine at his palace. When Lu Ping asked whether he had plans to accompany their mother that evening, Lu Jing explained that the empress would be dining with their father instead. Just as Lu Jing reached to place an arm around Lu Ping's shoulder, he paused mid-motion, glancing down at his sweat-drenched robes. With a faint smile, he told Lu Ping he would bathe first and that he was free to start eating if he was hungry. Lu Ping shook his head and replied that he would wait. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the palace began to glow with candlelight, the servants at Yan Ren Hall busied themselves setting the evening table. Lu Ping knelt by the side, reviewing his exam booklet while waiting. When Lu Jing returned, freshly bathed and dressed in light robes, the two brothers sat to enjoy their meal together. Their conversation turned to politics. Lu Jing shared that during the morning court, members of the censorate had once again criticized the entrenched power of the aristocracy. Their voices had been particularly loud and forceful that day, prompting the emperor to dine with the empress, a subtle but clear political signal. Lu Ping furrowed his brow and commented that, although discontent among scholars wasn't new, the intensity of their rhetoric felt different. He asked if something had occurred to provoke it. Lu Jing explained that recent reports had stirred the court. During the Qi festival, the second son of the Fu family and the third son of the He family had been seen recklessly throwing money in the streets of Pingkong district. Though the Yan family's young master hadn't joined them in such displays, his usual extravagance around the city had already drawn attention and criticism. Lu Ping remarked that it was unfortunate. Despite the older generation's dedication and integrity, such as the Fu family's service to the emperor, prime minister, He's loyalty, and General Yan's sacrifices at the frontier, the younger heirs were tarnishing their legacies. Lu saw. Jing agreed. Still, he pointed out that the young master of the Yan family wasn't without merit. His academic and martial abilities at Baihu Hall had been impressive, and his character seemed to veer more toward the unorthodox than the irresponsible. Lu Ping snorted at that, and dryly remarked that carefree was just a polite way of calling someone a wolf in sheep's clothing. Lu Jing chuckled and teased Lu Ping, saying the rumors of their mutual dislike seemed to hold some truth. "What rumors?" Lu Ping asked curiously. "That he thinks you're dull, and you can't stand his arrogance," Lu Jing replied. Lu Ping didn't deny it. "Sounds accurate," he admitted, clearly uninterested in extending the topic of Yan Ren any further. Instead, he picked up his exam booklet and respectfully handed it over to his brother. "Brother, could you take a look at this?" Lu Jing took it and began to review it, his expression unreadable. As the evening chill settled in, Zhang Yun gently suggested that his master bring a cloak when going out. He remarked that the nights were getting colder. Yan Ren, with his head bowed and eyes fixed on the cobblestones beneath his feet, dismissed the concern with a casual air. He declared that he was just a warrior. Cold meant little to someone like him. After all, when war broke out, autumn would arrive early at the borders, and the winds there would cut deeper than anything in the capital. Zhongyun, ever straightforward, reminded him that he had never actually set foot on the border. How would he know what the winds there felt like? Yan Ren, momentarily distracted as he counted the cobblestones, eventually chuckled and confessed that he had seen it, not in person, but in dreams. With dusk falling fast, the city gates of the Jiaoboi imperial city had already closed. Luckily, side gates remained open for a little while longer. Yan Ren had been detained at the military training grounds and had only finished his duties in the late afternoon. As he prepared to return home, he suddenly remembered the books still tied to his horse. Rather than return later, he decided to head to Baihu Hall immediately to drop them off. He called for Zhongyun to keep up as he quickened his pace. At Baihu Hall, the golden light of the setting sun spilled across the entrance. Zhongyun followed, and placed a box of books on the desk inside. A cold wind slipped through the corridor, brushing against a folding screen and sending a shiver through the air. Yan Ren moved quickly to shift the screen and dampen the noise. As he looked toward the bookshelf, he noticed that only the last bottom slot remained empty, his slot. He was the only one who had forgotten to return his assigned book. Near the eye shelf, a side door stood slightly ajar. Loose sheets of rice paper stirred in the breeze, several already blown out of the room and across the floor. Zhongyun muttered about the mess and bent down to collect the scattered pages. Yan Ren crouched beside him, picking up one sheet and glancing at its contents. He paused and let out a curious hum. Zhongyun turned to him, asking what had caught his attention. Yan Ren explained that this wasn't one of the assignments given by Old Song. It was something different. He examined the writing. Though the penmanship lacked finesse, the strokes were upright and firm, revealing sincerity and a clear state of mind. He then began to read aloud. Thus, those who cannot fulfill their natural lifespan and perish midway are burdened by worldly affairs. This is true of all things. For a long time, I have sought freedom beyond such burdens. Zhongyun, puzzled, asked where the passage came from. Yan Ren identified it as a quote from the Zhuangzi, a text often frowned upon by Orthodox scholars. Though not banned, its content was viewed as subversive, its philosophy considered unsuitable for personal conduct, household management, or governance. Finding such a passage hidden in the book collection at Baihu Hall, he said, was quite intriguing. Zhongyun noticed a rare gleam in Yan Ren's eyes. His master looked deeply fascinated, as if he had discovered a hidden treasure. Zhongyun couldn't help but ask whether Yan Ren believed one of the students at Baihu Hall had secretly taken an interest in unorthodox teachings. And what did the passage mean? Settling more comfortably, Yan Ren continued reading with interest. He appeared genuinely absorbed, as if he had stumbled upon something far more valuable than mere forgotten paper.